That means if I was a thief, I could easily take things like this unlocked bike. But is the bubbles big and red? It's a negative influencer. Shame on BYU is what the flyer says. But the labor union's problem is actually with Peking drywall. People can still download this app on their personal iPad. This app includes music, talks, and tours, all based on the paintings and their artists. So if a shooter was here, I may use something like this chair to protect myself. The Utilities Tunnel project started early May and is expected to be done by the end of summer. BYU police say that when fighting for your life, you don't technically have to have a weapon to protect yourself.
Could probably take that tripod there and start being one mean woman.
This week's Oregon High School shooting marks the 74th in the 18 months since Newtown. Some are wondering if this is the new norm and how to protect themselves on campus.
Quite frankly, the reason it's called an active shooter is because people are being shot, and seconds count in that type of a situation.
BYU police say that people should know their own strengths and weaknesses and plan for the worst-case scenarios. Shootings can happen anywhere, but police say that shooters like to find places with a lot of people, like schools. If stuck in a situation with a shooter, overall police say to be creative. So if a shooter was here, I may use something like this chair to protect myself. The police say people that are prepared make the biggest difference in the outcome, so they provide training and education.
You've got to have that will to win. I'm going to survive this. I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive this.
That, with awareness of surroundings, preparing for the worst, and reviewing training, can keep you alive. In Provo, Shailee Sorenson, 11 News. Michelle Eddy and her mom were one of the many disappointed to see the end of the Sacred Gifts exhibit at the Museum of Art. She even came all the way from Idaho and her mom from California.
There were other things we wanted to do in Utah, but we knew that this was here, so we came down, and I missed it by a day.
This was not their first time coming the long way, though. They saw the exhibit before and had to see it again.
We drove over 4 hours one way, so 8 hours round trip, and I've done it twice now, so 16 hours.
The museum extended the exhibit 2 more weeks for free viewing because of its popularity. But the paintings can't stay any longer. They have to go back now.
I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to have this art leave its home and come here.
This exhibit introduced Eddy and others to new paintings like Agni in the Garden by Franz Schwartz.
I'd never thought of the Christ in the garden that way before. I always saw him alone, but it just gave a better understanding of that situation to me.
The museum made an app just for the Sacred Arts exhibit. People can still download this app on their personal iPad. This app includes music, talks, and tours, all based on the paintings and their artists. The museum is also selling many paintings from Sacred Gifts to people still interested. At BYU Museum of Art, Shailee Sorenson, 11 News. Many people in the LDS community know President Packer to be a religious leader, but few realize his love for creating art. His children felt the impact of art and nature as it surrounded them in their home growing up.
Art was used in the home for 2 reasons. One is the satisfaction that Dad got from creation, the creative process. And I think we all have that in us. And then the other was to beautify the home.
Some of the art is now hanging in a permanent gallery in the Bee Museum, which will be reopening to the public on June 7th after an extensive renovation. The 2-year renovation of the museum added new exhibits like President Packer's bird collection and a remodeled landscape layout for the displays.
We're looking forward to having the public back again. And I think the big thing is we want them to come in and say, good, the museum's back, but it's even better than it was before.
Many funders who wanted to honor President Packer made these renovations possible.
The family is very anxious to have it all in one place and to share it.
The museum is free to the public and families are welcome. In the BYU Bee Museum, Shailee Sorenson, 11 News. People still want information, but the way they want it is changing.
Information comes to you over social media.
That's why the BYU Communications Department is considering making a Newbie Social Intelligence Lab so students can better understand media conversations.
Rather than just saying, oh my heck, we now have 22,000 tweets that have come back through in the last 30 minutes. What does it all mean? Our technology goes and says, well, yes, you had 22,000 and this is what it means.
This stream of social media conversation is actually happening right now. The bigger the bubble, the larger the influence. If the bubble's blue, then it's a neutral comment. If the bubble's green, then it's a positive comment. But if the bubble's big and red, it's a negative influencer and it needs to be popped like a pimple. Programs like Newbie help comm students be ahead of the curve in social media skills and more attractive to future employers.
Immediately, you could find out all the information that people were saying about a news event on social media.
The faculty is considering the Newbie Social Analytics program, among others. They plan to make the lab before this fall semester. In Provo, Shailee Sorenson, 11 News.